Howdy folks, Ben here, and today we're going to be talking about this simple little stretch routine that I've designed to help my clients do stretching. Because a lot of you, let's face it, we just sort of like do the cardio, we might do some strength training, some abs, and then we say, I'm out of here. So I call this the 7-minute no excuses stretch routine. So there you have no excuse not to do this routine. So it's very easy. A lot of it is done on the floor. I'm just going to show you real quick from the side how I do this stretch routine. So after your workout, come to the floor, and the first stretch I'd like you to do is simply pulling your knee in towards your chest. Okay, this is a great stretch. A little bit of stretching through the back of the leg, a little bit through the hip. And remember, as always, as you do stretching, you want it to feel light. You want to take this time to sort of reconnect with your body, to cool down, and just to kind of honor the importance that is mobility and flexibility. From here, we're going to start to bring it into the back of the leg. So this is the hamstring. You may not be able to straighten your knee all the way, and that's okay. But what we're looking for is to feel a stretch from the back of the knee towards the sits bones, or the ischial tuberosities at the base of your pelvis. So keeping your shoulders really low, you could bend your knee and flex your knee, or straighten your knee and flex your knee a few times if you'd like to make the stretch a little more dynamic. But oftentimes it's best just to kind of go to the edge of the stretch, hold, and wait for the stretch to relax. But keep in mind, you don't want your butt to start coming off the floor. So if your butt is coming up off the floor, then you've gone too far. Now our third stretch is to cross the ankle over the knee. Many of you who are feeling tight, you might not be able to have that knee move far away from your body. So you can assist it gently with your hand, or for those of you who are a little bit looser, sliding your hands through the legs and interlacing behind. Now it's a good idea to flex this foot. This helps to stabilize the knee, and remember, cross the ankle just enough so that you're not disturbing the ankle joint itself. A gentle pull in, and keep in mind that my neck is still in a neutral position, so if you ever find that you're in this position with your chin up, then take a little towel or an extra mat and put it behind your head. So what we want to feel here is not stretched through the knee joint itself, but a little bit down the leg, maybe in the hamstring and into the outer hip. Great. So again, each stretch maybe 20 or 30 seconds. From here, I want you to release. Now if you're feeling sensitive through your back or a little less flexible, uncross your legs, open your arms wide, and then gently move your knees to the side. Okay? If you're feeling more flexible, you can certainly wrap the top leg under the bottom leg, which helps to pull your hips around, and you'll feel a bigger stretch. Now anything through the thorax here, through the rib cage, through the side of the waist, into the hip is fine, but we don't want you to feel this in the spine. So if you're feeling this very central and very pointed, then you're going to want to uncross and make it more of a gentle twist, which would be with one leg. And then as you feel warmer, then slowly drop the top leg towards the bottom. Now our last stretch here for the lower leg, so the lower body, is to continue rolling to your side. Now I'd like you to pull your knees in towards your chest and even potentially curl your body into a fetal position. Taking your hand to the top knee, gently bring the leg backwards. Now don't worry if your thigh doesn't extend all the way back in line with your body. Pretty much for most of us, we're just going to have a hard enough time grabbing hold of the ankle. Try to keep your head resting on your opposite arm, and one of the faults here is that the leg starts to lift up, or you might internally rotate the thigh to try to get the foot to externally rotate or elevate, because it's a little bit hard, but do the best you can to keep the thigh parallel with the floor. And then the last but most important compensation to avoid is arching your back. Okay, so that's why we pull the bottom knee or the non-exercising leg close to the chest, and then we contract the abdominals as best we can. Now this stretch is designed to help lengthen the psoas muscle and the rectus femoris, or the quadricep muscles as well. Okay? Great. And then of course you would then slowly release and then use your arms to push yourself up. Now that's just one side, but you can do that on both sides if you'd like. Now moving on, we'll come into a little bit of shoulders and a little upper body. So the pose that I like to start with the stretch is by just taking my feet apart and my hands that point backwards behind me. I'm going to slide my hips forward and lift my chest. It's almost like you're letting the sun shine into your chest. And I'm hoping that you're going to feel a stretch through the chest, the anterior shoulder, and maybe down lower towards your biceps. It's important not to go too far into this pose and strain. So always try to keep the shoulders pulling back and down, wide hands, and just enjoy a little bit of a stretch across your chest and down your arms. Then bringing your soles of your feet together, we're moving into the inner thighs. Sit up as tall as you can, maybe even sliding your hips back a bit. And gently just start to let the knees drop towards the floor. A lot of times people say, oh, how come, your knees are lower than my knees? Or do you have to have your feet closer in or farther out? If you slide your feet out, typically you'll be able to drop your knees a little bit lower. This is not a bad thing. It's just going to stretch slightly different muscles in the inner thighs. So sliding them in, typically you'll start to feel the knees lift up. Okay? Play around with a little bit of both positions just to make sure that you're stretching all of these muscles in the different fibers. Okay? So from here, let's go ahead and simply cross the leg and move into a little bit of shoulder. This is an easy stretch for the posterior shoulder. Cradle your opposite arm in your hand and gently come across till you feel a stretch in the shoulder. Okay? These are all very easy. And then again, over to the other side. And then moving into the triceps. A lot of times people kind of do a major mistake in yoga where there's this pose where you bring your hands together behind you. But one of the biggest mistakes is that people push their head out of alignment. Sometimes I joke in my yoga class that, the head is the most important part in this pose. And if you were to cut something off, what would you rather it be? Your arm or your head? So make sure that your head stays in place and where it's supposed to be, behind or in between the shoulders, left to right and backwards just a little. So if you can't quite reach that position from here, go ahead and just take your hand and pull it back. So from the front, from the back of the arm, and pull it back just to feel a stretch to the shoulder. Okay? So that's just biceps, chest, triceps, and shoulder, and you'll do those stretches on both sides. All right, that's it. So I hope this helps clear up maybe some confusion or gives you an opportunity to sort of latch into a good stretching routine. Again, it's simple, it doesn't have to be complex, but it is an important part of your workout.